Major funding for these programs is made possible by grants from Chase Commercial Term Lending, New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, Perfect Building Maintenance, M&T Bank, Customers Bank, Genova Burns, Terra CRG, Meridian Capital Group. Additional support is made possible by AKA Hotels Corman Communities, Aerial Property Advisors, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Citizens Bank, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, CPEX Real Estate Services, Cushman & Wakefield, Dime Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Eastern Union Funding, Fisher Brothers, First Nationwide Title Agency, Flushing Bank, Friedman, Handler Real Estate Organization, HAP Investments, Hersha Hospitality, Hodges Ward Elliott, Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Center at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Commerce Bank, New Banks, Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Sterling National Bank, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, The Continuum Company, The Moynihan Group, and these friends.
$60 million people come to New York City. I thought there was a problem with the money and the currency. 61 million. More and more hotels opening up each and every day. It's everybody from Asia. Once it's the Waldorf, now it's the Essex House. All this is happening. So today I've assembled this group of hospitality experts to provide their insight on what's happening in the hospitality market in the region. And we may even talk about Florida because, I know that that's your second home. So my guests, they include Neil Shah, who is the president and COO of Hersha Hospitality Trust. Mark Elliott, who is the president of Hodges Ward and Elliott. Michael Pomerantz, who is the principal at the Pomerantz Group and 60 Hotels. And last but not least, my buddy over here, Steve Witkoff, who's the chairman and CEO of the Witkoff Organization. So you own and operate about 55 hotels. You sell everybody's hotels around the country. You're the 800-pound gorilla on the sales of hotels. Michael quietly has a couple of hotels and a variety of business. And you, all of a sudden, did you like Times Square? You're building a small little hotel in Times Square? And then you just broke ground in Los Angeles? What is this? You're bullish on the hospitality market now?
Wow, I'm going first tonight, huh? Yeah, no, I like Times Square because it's probably the first new build in Times Square proper in the last, could be 20 years. And Mark was a part of that transaction, by the way. So we really got to know each other on that. In Los Angeles, again, high barrier to entry marketplace. So we like it very much.
I haven't seen the Witkoff Organization go to Bushwick or Williamsburg or downtown Brooklyn. I mean, I haven't seen you go to Newark, to the airport. I mean, Neil has a couple of places out there. I mean, why do you like Manhattan? Are you antisocial that you don't like the other four boroughs? Staten Island's a possibility. They're putting up a wheel and, an outlet center.
But both of the transactions you speak of were moment-in-time transactions. Times Square was a unique piece of real estate that had a lot of retail attached to it, and most people looked at it just for its retail use, not for simply hospitality. We were able to do a deal on the Edition brand, which really worked there because there's a lot of food and beverage, large food and beverage component. And in West Hollywood, in Los Angeles, same thing. Hotel with a lot of program, an Edition hotel. But my bigger point is that we do like airport hotels. We bid on the Kennedy renovation, right? The JFK Kennedy renovation. I think me and Ian Schrager were the cover bid on that deal. So we like those marketplaces, but there's got to be some sort of barrier to entry that.
And now you know, Mr. Pomerantz over here, you know, they've quietly kept a couple of hotels. They went into the Thompson Hotel a number of years ago. They went into these neighborhoods which were emerging before they were emerging. Okay, you know, with Lower East Side, the first hotel over there. So, where do you see the future? How do you look at the hospitality market?
I think that you know, we all would like to decide where we think the best locations are to enter, but I think circumstances really dictate to us what's available. So barring that, we have to hear from experts like this gentleman where we're allowed to try. So the market's probably big enough to decide what is going to generate what and where, and what are the tools or the functions or the components to make that successful.
So, leading into that, I mean, you are the preeminent hospitality investment bankers in both the sales and also in the financing. So, were you surprised for some of the prices of the hotels which you've sold, including the New York Palace on a land lease and some of the other properties, at the prices that hotels are trading for today?
Not necessarily. I think the reason that the prices seem shocking or high to us in the United States that are in the real estate transaction business every day is we're comparing pricing to other real estate transactions over the last 5, 10, 15 years. But we're now in a global market and we're competing for global capital. And the alternative investment for making investments in these hotels are buying treasuries around the world. And treasuries are functionally going to zero. We see that in Japan, we see that in Germany. So as compared to that, real estate in New York at a 3 or 4 yield looks extraordinarily attractive.
Hirsch has been around since 1984, in essence, with the operation, but then the REIT and everything else. How do you see the market? I mean, I remember you had that great hotel, passed it yesterday in Union Square.
In Union Square, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we came to New York in the late 90s and did our first projects here in 2000 and 2001. And I think I remember being here about 10, 12 years ago and talking about kind of the opportunity that we saw in New York for select service hotels back then. At the time, we had seen and we had experience building and developing select service hotels in a lot of markets around the country. But as we looked at New York City, select service hotels at the time, I think, made up 15% of the hotel inventory in the U.S., and in New York, it was about 5%.
But I think there was a question of select service. Michael, his family, and other properties had limited select service, but with not a brand. You were taking a flag to the select service.
Yeah, we were bringing flags originally. And so we did a lot of Hampton Inns, Holiday Inn Expresses, Hilton Garden Inns, and the like up and down Manhattan from 2000 till about 2010. It was fitting a demand that customers were looking for, and it was an opportunity that you could take smaller sites and sites that might be overlooked by larger office or residential developers or other hotel developers and develop a hotel on it. And we did that for the first 10 years here. Across the last 5, 7 years, there's been a lot of competition in that space. A lot of other developers developing select service hotels. There's just more select service hotels to compete with. And so over the years, we've kind of changed our strategy and looked for kind of the next edge that there might be. You mentioned the Hyatt Union Square or Hotel 48 Lex. We did a bunch of independent hotels, learning from the Pomerantz Group and others.
I'm going to blush.
No, but in reality, you know, the Hotel 48, which was a Hyatt Place, they rebranded it Hotel 48 recently. So, you know, because of what you've done. I mean, you've never really, it's always been independence, even though it's 60 hotels.
Well, our idea was basically always, you know, how to develop small luxury at a cost-efficient basis, which always was a challenge. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when we started our company and we founded Thompson Hotels based on our first hotel, 60 Thompson, we went around the world to understand better why is it that a hotel in Europe that is maybe not so fancy does so well and is so selective and somehow it works. You know, you go into Paris, you go into a hotel, it's 60 rooms, and you keep going back there while there's beautiful hotels all around you, but you know, the linen is right and the room is crisp.
But
although
here's
small.
the question, you know, listening to everybody, okay? Listening to Mark, where he's saying that for European, you know, for Asian, you know, it's cheap buying the property. It's better than a zero yield on a treasury. Listening to Neil, a lot of competition coming into the limited select service over there. Now, Steve has, you know, a super luxury with the addition, and you know you have the place on Central Park, that little
By the
hotel.
way, the LA property is one of the sexiest properties I
No,
think
no.
anyone has done in a while.
No, but I'm saying, you know, but we're talking about that.
Now I'm going to blush.
You've been involved with the hospitality industry in a number of areas. Why haven't you gone into the limited service here? I know you've done limited service in Florida and other markets.
You mean like a 60 Thompson? Is that what you're referring to?
But we don't consider ourselves limited.
No,
service.
but
No,
that's
I'm
not-
not talking I'm talking
he
limited
means non-
service
he-
like Neil.
He means
Okay.
you mean non-branded.
I'm talking about Hampton Inns. I guess a couple of years ago, I remember we were once at Ladder, you and I were sitting there, and you were doing a hotel in Florida, you know, which was a limited service.
I mean, we did a Marriott Courtyard. That was ours over on 3rd Avenue.
That's right.
Right.
And I find Michael's side of the business to be fascinating. I really do. And I actually think that, you know, I've got two very bright, creative, well-educated kids. I could actually see doing something. You know, I lost.
We
a
have a
s-
shidduch already
yeah.
over here.
Like, for instance, Michael, I lost a son. And so I have always thought that the greatest honor I could give him would be to start a hotel. I think about this all the time. Start a hotel chain and name it after him. Call it the Drew, right? And so do something like that. And I think about it all the time. So it's in my head. But right now, that's a real working
But
business.
here's
and we
my
just,
question
it's not for
today.
me right now.
How
And
hard
don't
is
do
it?
them in New York. We have a lot of hotels in New York.
Wait a
There's a
second.
lot of cities
Wait,
to do,
wait,
to
I
do
agree.
the
No,
job.
wait,
I
but
agree.
you don't want him to go to Philadelphia or Boston either, okay? You're trying to be selfish over there.
New York has been, it's been such, I still continue to consider it the best market long term in the world. And it is a phenomenal market, but across these last 3 to 5 years, there's just been so much new inventory that's been built here. I think it's on one hand, it's the new inventory, and then it's also a lot of new operators that aren't as experienced. And so what we've seen is the downside of revenue management. With this much competition, a lot of inexperienced operators, we're seeing.
But we have to also, bring in the item which I discussed in the green room. You know, this Airbnb. You know, the president goes to Cuba and he brings the chairman of Airbnb, which he's basically saying, "Oh, go rent your apartment. Okay, go out there and compete with every one of these hotels. True that they may not have the same amenities or the other idea, but it's a great opportunity." And the advertisements for Airbnb, we're helping that family who really couldn't earn this living. Okay, it's like false advertising.
That's the gypsy cab business of the hotel industry.
It's definitely taken some of the pricing power out of the lodging business in Manhattan. The statistics are since 2007 through 2015, the hotel supply has increased 25%. On top of that is another 20% from Airbnb. So the total lodging supply on a nightly basis in the last 8 years has grown almost 50%, which is, would devastate almost any market in the world.
Okay, it's grown 50%. So now we have, with the unknown number of Airbnb, we used to have close to 125,000 rooms. It could be to 160,000 rooms. And, we also have in certain hotels in New York, we have higher costs of operation because they're unionized. And, we're here to make a profit.
Right.
And, how do foreign buyers look at the situation of the Airbnb and the union?
Well, I think the good news is the corresponding stat to the new supply is that during this period, demand has actually grown faster than supply.
Right, we were at 55 million. Now this last year we had 60 million visitors.
Right, and you actually increased occupancy to 85%. So if we're going to have a couple more turbulent years in the city. Once you get to 2018 and the supply stops, you should go back to a double-digit RevPAR growth that we had in previous cycles. But you got to get from here to
How
there.
are we? How are lenders looking at today's hospitality market in New York?
I think lenders have gotten a lot more conservative, especially construction lenders. Unfortunately so, I think there's real concerns around how much hotels will grow revenue in the next few years. I think lenders are being relatively conservative. I think the international capital that's coming in buying hotels here, they're doing it with their eyes wide open. I don't think they're out trophy hunting or that they're mispricing, but it's that if you take a 5 to 10 year horizon on New York, it's a really robust market. If you take a 3 to 5 year horizon, it's a little lumpy.
But when you take a Baccarat hotel, which was sold before it opened at close to $2 million a key, with no track record in history, that's a gamble. Okay, and I think a couple years ago, you've been on the show, and Steve has been on the show on this topic. You know, there was always that question of how many 6 stars or 5.5-star hotels can New York City absorb. What do you think, Mark?
Well, it's actually the segment of the city where it's had the least amount of supply. So if you look at the performance stats last year, from 14 to 15, the luxury RevPAR was actually flat when the entire rest of the city was down because supply has been so limited. It's so difficult to build true luxury in the city, and increasingly more difficult that when you look over the next 10 or 15 years, it's unlikely that you'll see another 2 or 3 other than Steve's in Times Square of that quality.
Steve, you were talking prior to the show about one of the means to build hotels has been the EB5 program. How important has that been to you for the addition in Times Square and the addition in Los Angeles?
We had our hotel in Times Square financed, but then took out some of the mezzanine financing in that construction loan with EB5, and it lowered our cost. I think it's a solid program. It's hard for me to understand how anyone would gainsay a program where you can borrow money at a cheaper rate of return and have less pressure on you economically. It allows you to build a better quality hotel. So it's been hard for me to understand what the fight over EB5 was out there, because the alternative to EB5 financing is high octane mezzanine financing, and you can see what's happening. It's just what Neil talked about. The fact is that lenders, and I think for all the right reasons. I mean, I would imagine Wells Fargo is almost out of the new construction hotel market today.
Yeah, they are.
Lenders are nervous today, but if you segment the New York marketplace, there's plenty of side street product. If you've got a hotel with program, you hold rate in New York today. I mean, that's just a fact. If you've got program. If you don't have program, you're competing against everything else, including Airbnb, and that's where you're gonna have an issue.
I agree with them. You know, we should have financing sources that are fair, legitimate, better cost of capital. They'll want New York. I think we want all the financing sources. We want innovative developers, but I think that there are some regulations that have come up that might be keeping a cap on this market. Beyond operators making it hard, I think this market's under demolished. I think there's a lot of old hotel product here that was built for a whole different era, where tastes and preferences were different, where you could live with a tiny room, loud, big 600-700 room hotels. And
I think the Milford Plaza is a perfect
great example.
Okay, you know, I haven't seen the change of rooms, but you know, the outside, the conversion, the lobby, the use of the marketplace, the food, you know, it's a totally different operation.
You're right. And you know, Miami, and I'm not shifting to Miami, but it goes to what you're talking about. If you look at the new boxes that just got built in Miami today, Faena House, Edition, the Four Seasons, all 3 of those hotels are the rate leaders today, because they're built with all the modern technology, the room size addresses what the buyer wants. You compare it to the Delano, which is 25 or 30. Ian and I were discussing this the other day. It's a great location, but that room just can't compete against that new product that got built up.
It is iconic, though. I mean,
But let's
No, I know that, and that's what allows it to do as well as it does. But I'm simply saying that in that location today, you'd build a different product.
let's talk about 2 other areas. One is, I noticed that I think it was the Wyndham Trip and another hotel recently have become vacation hotels. Do you see that happening more in New York? Because the one that Eichner built originally, the Park Central, the biggest problem is that the maintenance that someone pays is enormous because of the
fractional
taxes.
business, yeah.
Fractional business. Do you see that happening?
You see a lot of those. I think you see a trend in see increased product in the fractional and timeshare business for sure. We're in a global marketplace. We're an 86% occupancy market, which means that if you want to come stay here for a week, it's one, going to be expensive, and two, it's your availability may be limited. So if you can kind of buy into a point system or buy a product or buy a unit, I think that the global demand for it's pretty strong.
What about the extended stay programs over here?
So it's a tough, very
Okay,
tough business.
My friend and the
Cormans,
the Cormans were going to convert their property on 46th Street. Now they decided to keep it as an extended stay. They're building another one in Lower Manhattan on extended stay. What do you see?
Tough business. We've analyzed it quite a bit, and there were a few buildings recently that were sold, that were up for sale for those purposes, only for extended stay in residential zones. To fill them up and keep them full during shoulder months is very difficult. And if it's a quality 4+ star stay, then the kind of personnel you need and the services you need are not indifferent or not different than a hotel. So we find that in our analysis, it's a very difficult business to sustain.
The Corman's business, the AKA, they're geared. They've dealt with these corporations. They have that system built into it. So they're not a new player. They're already in that business.
I think that they converted the Sutton Place Hotel to condo in an appropriate time. And my guess would be that if times were good today to convert to condo again, they probably would convert more product than not.
But that brings out another question. Part of when Ambang spent $1.95 billion for the Waldorf Astoria, a portion, I don't know how many rooms, and maybe you have a better idea, Steve, of how many rooms they're going to convert into condo.
I don't know. I don't know what
Okay.
their business plan is.
Their
Talk is about half the inventory.
Allegedly, half of the inventory, which would be the Waldorf Towers floors portion, would be
Correct.
because of the height and everything else above over there are going to be converted. A number of years ago, we did see a number of conversions, like the Plaza that we
Right.
know about, the Sheraton. I mean, there have been the conversions. Do you see conversions taking place?
Not in this condominium
like the
market.
Park
Not in
Lane,
this kind of market. Yeah.
No, not in this condominium market. I mean, the Real Deal just ran, and I'm not sure that their statistics are if you really study it, how accurate they are. But for the first time, there was an article that came out this weekend that talked about a 5-year inventory overhang for new construction condominiums in Manhattan. So against that backdrop, I doubt people want to be in the conversion of hotel business
That's
into
an
condominiums.
opinion, and I believe that I was recently quoted by the Financial Times and 2 other publications that yes, the inventory is over there. There is an inventory number, but at a certain price, the units will sell at.
It's about price.
It's about price. It's not the inventory.
No,
it's
I
a
agree.
price. It's a question of where the price is, and it's the same question of pricing on the hotels.
Right.
But the danger is that people bought buildings to rip down, so per foot they're in for the land for so much money that even if they wanted to dump the units, they'd have to, sell them basically for $1,800-$1,900 a
But
foot.
isn't that what we were talking about Starwood's property on 58th Street? They bought an office building, and an office building is not that easy to convert successfully to a hotel.
In Florida and Miami on the beach, there are people that are buying condominium buildings and buying out each owner of a condo in order to rip it down and put up a building.
Right.
So it's clearly, the issue is always, and you said it, it's about price. At what point do the apartment inventory move fast, or does the hotel inventory fill up quickly? It's about price. And one of the reasons this gentleman is progressing the way he is because, when people from all over the world, through their gyrations of their economies, know they still can go to New York and be there in the wintertime for $125 a night, you know, on average.
That's a good
That's a
point.
great thing, and there's a reason to go there instead of going to a, you know, a submarket.
That is a big difference between New York, from my perspective, the lodging market here versus last cycle. One of the big differences is that it is much more leisure, like significantly more leisure. Call it 20%
We've
more.
lost that business.
Yeah, it's not that we've lost the business,
but it's not as
we've
large. It's not the component.
and there's just been an increase
Component
in
change.
leisure from
Right.
all the middle classes from around the world coming to travel, and that's taken out how sharp the seasons are.
I don't know if you're aware of this. A number of these hotels being built in Bushwick and in Williamsburg and these emerging neighborhoods have not been financed because, as you said, by the banks. They've been financed by the alternative lenders. And, you know, there's a big question because the alternative lender is getting their freight. They're getting their 10% rate, couple of points. But they don't want to be in there.
Or will they get their principal back?
That's exactly
There has
correct.
been a shift, though, whereas the Brooklyn hotels 5 and 10 years ago basically were a price alternative for staying in Manhattan. Today, we've actually done some traffic studies, and the customer is actually doing business in Brooklyn. So as there's been increased amount of commercial activity, the hotel customer there is actually there to do business in Brooklyn. So that's healthy for
My
Manhattan.
last question is, so where is the opportunity if you had money and you wanted to build in the metropolitan area? Is it the Bronx, where certain people have gone? Is it Staten Island, where the Wheel is going and there's at least 1 or 2 hotels over there? Is it Queens, you know, like Flushing, where you have the enormous Asian population? Is it Manhattan or is it Brooklyn? Neil?
I still think it's Manhattan. It's you know, we're as long-term owners, we're trying to look for the right mix of business as well as leisure, and to have locations that people are willing to pay a premium for. So having really good submarkets and good locations that have a mix of business and leisure, we find that more so in Manhattan than we do otherwise. But again, it depends on the submarket. I think with all the development in the Hudson Yards and the financial district, there's opportunities there again. But we feel like Midtown, of all the neighborhoods in Manhattan right now, Midtown East is still
Under-
the strongest and the most likely, especially if you can build something with today's tastes and preferences.
Michael?
I tend to agree. The only different thought I have is, you know, in the end of the day, I still think a hotel is based upon being its candy store and whether or not there are many on the street or few on the street and whether you carry unique candy. If you're in Staten Island and you have, I don't know how many people live in Staten Island today, 800,000 people, let's say, just for example's sake, and you have a certain number of rooms, you have to almost look at it as its own country and say, is there a demand and need for a certain level of service and hotel that would occupy that local business? And I think that rationale is really what works everywhere in the world.
Everywhere.
Quick, Steve? Guess I got a question for
I
Mark
agree
before-
with what Neil
before
said,
we
and
go.
I agree with what Michael said. It went to my point before about program, if you have good program in a hotel. But I also think that, you know, a lot of the hotel REIT stocks, we didn't discuss this, have gotten right. They're trading at discounts to NAV today, and it's probably because of this perception that there could be a recession out there.
Right.
If you believe in a recession, and I don't, then a hotel is a tough place to play. But if you don't believe in a recession, it is going to be one of the great buying opportunities to buy intelligently.
I got
hotels.
10 seconds, but I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you see foreign buyers saying, I want to be in Staten Island or the Bronx?
No, I think they're more focused on Manhattan, maybe Brooklyn. I think that's where they want to be.
So I think we really got some good ideas, and I'd like to thank Neil, Mark, Michael, and Stephen, and I'll see you next week.